Hey friends, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about slow fashion and how to successfully shop for slow fashion pieces secondhand. So a few years ago I decided I wanted to learn how to sew after my son was born. I'd had a machine for years that was a hand-me-down and I was too scared to use it. Also not very interested in using it, but when I had a baby I was very interested in all of those very cute, very expensive baby clothes that did not fit with our budget. And so I decided I'm going to try to learn how to sew myself and to make some of these things, and also I just thought it would be really special and meaningful to have some handmade things for my baby. So in the past I had also heard some friends that were interested in slow fashion talk about it, and I just could not comprehend why somebody would spend over $30 on a pair of jeans. And I don't think that you have to buy really expensive things to shop for slow fashion, but I think my perspective on it has changed a lot since then. So I don't shop 100% slow fashion, but since that moment of realizing how much work and time and thought and skill goes into sewing a piece of clothing, I've put a lot more thought into the items that I'm purchasing. And like to try to do it as ethically as possible, and so within my means in the season that I'm in. So a lot of slow fashion brands are really expensive, and a lot of that is because they are paying, as they should, the workers a fair wage. And they also tend to use higher quality materials that don't get ruined within a couple of washes. There's other factors as well, but those are some of the main ones. And so that does impact the cost, but instead of viewing clothing as something that is disposable or just to be worn for a few times, I really try to look for pieces that I maybe invest a little bit more in, but that I will wear over and over and over, and that will work for hundreds of occasions as opposed to just one. Now, because of my budget, and also we try to live frugally, I like to shop for a lot of pieces secondhand. Sometimes I'll have a favorite brand, and maybe it's slow fashion, maybe it's fast fashion, but I will try to shop for it secondhand first, because one, it's more affordable, and two, it's more sustainable. So I'm going to share some tips today for finding slow fashion pieces that you actually love and want to wear. So I have made the mistake before many times of going to a thrift store or buying things on like a buy-sell trade group on Facebook, and just buying a lot because it was really inexpensive. And maybe I have a piece like a shirt, I'm like, oh, I don't have pants that matches this, but I'll get some, and the shirt was too cheap to pass up. Or maybe it'll be in a color that I don't love on me, but I really like the cut of it, so I decide to get it. Perhaps it wasn't the best quality material, but I liked the print, things like that. So, and then I find that if I didn't love it in the store, that I will not wear it. I just will maybe try it on, maybe try to make it work, but I'll have pieces that will just sit in the back of my closet for years because I didn't consider these things. So I have a list of notes. If you see me looking over here, I am referring back to them. So I'm going to get into 12 ways to make your slow fashion secondhand pieces worth it, and ones that you'll actually love and want to use. So the first thing is know where to buy. When I shop secondhand, I primarily shop from a few different places. Not Perfect Linen, I really like their dresses for the season of life that I'm in. I have been pregnant, postpartum, nursing for the past 4 years in some capacity, and that is a slow fashion piece that I can size up in and wear it for all of those seasons, as opposed to just wearing it for a couple of months. And so they have a buy-sell trade group on Facebook where I have purchased several pieces. There's also a Facebook group called the Slow Clothing Movement, and they do something called free weekend posts where people can just post all of their clothing, and I found some good finds that way as well. And then I also really like ThredUp. I like it because you can shop for your favorite brands, and you can bundle items so you're not paying shipping on multiple things. And then I like Poshmark too for different reasons. So one of the things I like about Poshmark is that you can search for very specific items. So sometimes there's I remember years ago there was this dress that I really wanted that wasn't sold in stores anymore, but I was able to find it on Poshmark. You can also counter offer or bargain with the sellers, which I always do, unless it's something that is going to go really fast. And the downside of Poshmark is that they do require, at least when I've done it in the past, like if you buy from multiple sellers, you have to pay shipping twice, and their shipping is like $8 typically. Yeah, so there's pros and cons to all of those, but those are the main places that I look when shopping secondhand. I also really, really like the brands Christy Dawn and Doan. I think I'm saying that correctly. And I follow their buy-sell trade groups on Facebook. I have not made a purchase yet because even secondhand, some of those are more than I would like to spend on clothing right now, but I like to keep my eye out. And I'll also shop locally at Goodwill or some other thrift stores that we have locally sometimes. Okay, the next piece of advice that I want to give is to shop from familiar brands online. So, I don't know about you, but when I have bought jeans from like 3 different brands, they will all fit differently even though they're the exact same size. And so, I found that I really like jeans from Madewell, I like jeans from Gap, and so those are not necessarily slow fashion brands, but I will go and look for them on Poshmark or ThredUp in my size, and it's nice because I know exactly what size I will wear, and yeah, it's helpful because if you're buying from a new brand, it may or may not fit. I recently bought this really cute skirt. I think it was from the brand Rouge, if I'm saying that correctly, but it was a little too tight, so I might end up reselling that. So shop from familiar brands, especially if it's a pricier secondhand item. The second thing is know the return policy. So a lot of like Facebook groups where you can buy secondhand are not going to have a return policy. It's just you buy it and it's yours whether it fits or not. I think Poshmark is the same way, but ThredUp does allow returns on most items, but you do have to pay a small restocking fee. So I try to take that into consideration before making a purchase. The next thing is wait for sales. So even for online consignment stores, they do offer sales. I've gotten really, really good deals on some Cezanne or Madewell pieces from ThredUp because I will wait for a sale or look for a coupon code. And even like local thrift stores like Goodwill, they will have days where my items are marked down to 25 cents or like 50% off. And so if you are on a tight budget or just really looking to make the most of your money, that's a good thing to do even when shopping secondhand. Okay, the next thing is really important, and this is something that I learned when sewing. So especially after having kids, I have had a hard time finding clothing items that fit because my body is in between multiple sizes. So typically when you're taking measurements, you will look at the bust, waist, and hip measurements. There's other ones to take into account as well, but those are some of the most common ones that will help you get a good fit. And I have struggled because I'm in between sizes on several of those things, and so, or will fall like between, like I don't just fit into a typical small necessarily. Like I need a different size in each of those sections. And so the nice thing about sewing is that you are able to tailor to your measurements, but if you're purchasing from a brand, you can look at their size charts and use your measurements to try to get the best fit. I've mentioned that I've purchased from Not Perfect Linen secondhand before, and they have a measurement called pit to pit where you measure from the armpit across, and that's a really good way to make sure that it will fit in the chest. I think that group in particular is really helpful with trying to see if. So something that I've been working on is making a list of items that are what I would call gaps in my wardrobe. So like recently I have realized that I don't have hardly any basic tanks or tees that can be paired with other things to create a cohesive outfit, whether it's pairing it with a skirt or jeans or shorts. And so that's something that I'm on the lookout for. And there's also some wish list items that maybe are not like things that would fill a gap in my wardrobe, but things that would be really just kind of like a wish list purchase. So it's helpful to have a list of that, and even to get really specific about like colors that you're looking for, or the type of fabric, or the brand. It is okay like to go out and shop and just, if you find something that's cute, to get it, but if you're really trying to fill those gaps in your wardrobe and make the most of your money, that's a good way to go about it. The next thing, and this is something that I really am passionate about after learning how to sew, is to check the fabric content. And so I used to not even like have any idea what fabric content was, but now I try to shop for items that are made from natural materials. So cotton, wool, linen, silk, these are things that will hold up and that are not going to pill very easily. So I don't know if you've experienced this before, but if you have like some shorts or a shirt that were really soft the first time you got it, but then after washing them 5 or 6 times, they have these little bumps on them, and they lose their shape, that's called pilling. And a lot of times fabrics that are made with synthetic things like plastics will start to pill pretty quickly. Also, natural fibers are a lot more breathable and are a lot more comfortable whether you're in really hot or really cold weather. The next thing is to know your colors. So this is not something that I think should be a hard and fast rule. I think you should express yourself through the clothing that you wear. There are certain colors that tend to be more flattering on people. So I like to use the color analysis. I believe that I'm a soft summer. I haven't officially had it done, but just from the work that I've done, the colors that I tend to gravitate to or feel like I look my best in. And that's something that can be really helpful if you're trying to find colors that you think that just really make you shine. I think sometimes you can look at somebody and you see, like, if they're wearing a pretty dress, you could see the dress or you could see the person, and like that goal is for them to see the person and not just the dress that's taking away from your natural beauty. So the next thing is to consider comfort levels. So there's certain things like I mean, this is different for everybody. So like personally, I probably would not buy a swimsuit or underwear secondhand just because I would be nervous about getting it clean. But I also think there are people that have done that and have methods and ways to make it sanitary. It's just something that personally I'm not comfortable with. So just think about what you are comfortable with prior to purchasing. The next thing is to find a tailor. So if you don't know how to sew or don't have time or aren't sure how to do certain things with sewing, you could find a local tailor. I remember my sister had a friend who used a tailor, and I had never heard of somebody doing that before, but it used to be a lot more common than it is now, because clothing was seen as more of an investment than just something dispensable. And so if you invest in some high quality pieces, or if you thrift a piece that you really love but doesn't quite fit, you can look into finding a tailor. And a good tailor is amazing at helping something fit your body exactly how it's supposed to. I really am passionate about clothing being made to fit you and not you trying to fit your body into clothing. I think our fashion system really does not do a good job of helping people feel confident. I think it does the opposite in a lot of ways. And so there's nothing wrong with you or your body. It's just clothing is not made to fit individual measurements because of fast fashion. And so if you're able to, I would encourage you to find a tailor if there's some pieces that don't fit you like you hope. Okay, kind of going along with that is learning to alter. So if you have a sewing machine or you have a friend who has one, there's some simple alterations like hemming that are not too difficult to do. There's also some, I haven't done a ton of altering myself personally. I typically sew completely from scratch, like with a pattern, but I have friends that will take in pants or put patches on clothing, just try to make the most of it. And so I do alter my kids' clothing sometimes, but I haven't really spent a lot of time doing that with my own. And the last thing, this is probably the hardest but the most important, is if you don't love it, don't buy it. I have made this mistake so many times where there's something that I really didn't love in the store, but I try to think of excuses or maybe ways that I will end up wearing it, and then it ends up just sitting in the back of my closet And even if it was a fairly inexpensive item, I could have put that money towards a piece from some of those brands that I mentioned that I really, really love and would wear all of the time. An example of this is I bought a couple of pullovers from Cezanne a couple of years ago, and they were not cheap. They were an investment piece, but I have worn those over and over and over, and I look forward to wearing them, as opposed to some pieces that I picked up that I just didn't really love at the time. And so I think over time, saving up that $5 or $10 that you would have put towards a purchase you didn't love could go towards something that you really, really love and would reach for over and over again. So, all right, that is all that I have today, friends, and I hope that was helpful. I would love to hear in the comments below if you have any other tips for shopping secondhand, or if you have favorite places to look for slow fashion pieces. I will be continuing to share about slow living and urban homesteading on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and if you are already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!